Welcome to the Passion Professors Podcast, hosted by Earth.University, where stories of life experiences and purpose inspire and unite humanity. Here's your host, Lindsay Andreotti.
Welcome, everybody, to the Passion Professors Podcast. I'm Lindsay Andreotti, your host, and I have a most amazing human being with me today, a friend and colleague, Miss Carol Benson. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Lindsay.
I want them to hear your voice, and then I'm going to tell them all about you. So Carol is a dedicated author of Positive Growth Mindset and Resilient Joy. And today we're going to be talking about joy in a very deep way, but let me tell you a little bit more about her. She works with entrepreneurs and business leaders to edit any stories that they have that are getting in the way of thriving in their work and in their lives. And I think that's a really cool thing that Carol does. She has been an inspirational speaker, a trainer, a mom. She's an international bestselling author with some of the Ignite books, including Ignite Your Life for Women and Ignite Your Life for Conscious Leaders. And now she's got a brand new book, and it's called The Joy Code. Turn on your resilience with Neuroscience. Carol, I'm stoked to talk about joy, and I'm so glad you're here today. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Lindsay, for having me. And who knows where our conversation is going to take us, right?
That's the way this works. Everybody who's listening knows that Lindsay goes all over the place. So but here's what I'm most curious about to start us off. Joy is a thing, and you're writing about it. What kind of a thing is joy? Is it, a state of mind? Is it a feeling? Is it just what is this thing we call joy?
I like to believe that joy is a birthright inside of all of us. And because of everything else, we're like pursuing happiness, we're pursuing this thing, that thing. We don't always come back to our center, which is if you call it your soul, call it that little child nature of delight. But it's also that creative place in you where you have such gratitude and appreciation for being alive. You know that feeling inside of you where you just go, I've arrived. That's joy.
Yeah, it sure is. I can tell you that I feel joy when I get to do this with the podcast. It's so juicy. Every single time I get to meet a passion professor, which you are. So tell us a little bit about this book, The Joy Code, and why you wrote it. What about this? It just felt like the right time, and you're deciding, this is it. I got to do this. Tell me about that story.
Well, I was inspired to write it during the pandemic, right?
Yep. Good call.
Just caused, all the chaos and uncertainty. It was just a major upheaval and a chance to overhaul and rebuild anything not working. Mm-hmm. And I think it was the first time in our recent history where the whole world, no one escaped it. People were like holding hands silently, globally. Mm-hmm. We all shared it in common where our lives were disrupted.
Yeah, we sure did.
And I one day I just go, wow, I'm still feeling so happy to be alive and grateful. Yes, joyful. What am I doing?
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just kind of curious. What was that all about? And I spoke to a girlfriend of mine who's also a colleague. She's a pretty big, influencer in her industry. And she said this statement to me that struck me. And it was, "You're so joyful. How are you staying joyful when everything's falling apart?" I can kind of remember joy, but I can't get to it and hold on to it. It's like this elusive piece that just for a second, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
How are you maintaining it?
Mm.
And that's what started it.
Super cool. Well, and you are very good at it. So tell us, what are those things that we can do to find it and or amplify our joy?
I love amplify. It's one of my favorite words.
Oh, nice. Okay, good.
Amplify or activate. Turn it on, right?
Fun. Yeah.
Oh, well, in the book, I write about 5 different areas that you can actually activate joy.
Nice. Tell us about
So,
it. Yeah.
for example, you might look at your own physical self, your environment. What is your home office? Like when you walk in your home office,
Mhm.
your little cave away from everything else, how do you feel?
Yeah.
Like I redid my office.
Yeah.
I changed paintings out, changed wall colorings, just changed even the location of my desk so that I'd walk in and I'd go, oh, and it
Right.
just feel really good in here. So that lights up joy.
Hang on. I'm going to do something I've never done on the podcast, but it seems like
You're
it's the
going to
right
show
time.
it?
This is my cave, everybody. This is the home office of Lindsay and Earth.University. And, I don't really share it on the podcast, but I figured they'll watch your episode just to be able to see this. I'm going to put this in the link below.
No, keep it there because look at the symmetry, look at the space, look at the colors. Everything is placed just so it's light.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it feels good and you match it.
Right now I do. I think I did that on purpose. I did do that on purpose. I will admit, I have this way that I like color to go together.
Right. So, I mean, you could start there. Everyone, you could start with your home. Look at your bedroom. How do you feel when you walk into it? Do you even notice the clutter?
Right.
I mean, I'm not Maria Kondo, believe me. I live with 3 guys and they love to pile and clutter things. And I just go like, oh my God, my adult sons have been here with us. So it's like, okay, chaos.
Oh, you're finding joy in that. See?
That's right.
Awesome.
At least I know where everyone is and everyone's safe and healthy. So that's actually been really sweet. It's been a sweet journey. And that gives me joy just to know that. But start with your environment. Look at your own foundation.
Yeah.
Can you add anything like a daily ritual?
Yeah.
How can you do that? It's like I'm a big fan of looking at habits, and I'll tell you a quick story. Every year, my birthday is January 1st. And every year I'd either get a journal as a gift, or I would buy myself one with the intention of writing every day in my journal.
Yep.
And every January 1st, I'd look at my journal from the previous year and I go, full. So, not this year, but the year before, I bought 2 journals, the same, because I decided I'm filling those up. So I decided to habit stack. If anyone has read Atomic Habits by James Clear, that's a great book.
Great book.
It's called Habit Stacking. And I thought, okay, what do I love in the morning? Well, I love my hot beverage. I love my tea, or sometimes if I have a almond milk latte, whatever it is, that gives me joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I found a place in our home and I said, okay, I'm going to create a new habit. And I would put my hot beverage down and I'd put my journal. And I actually have a little box here with all color pens in it. And I carry it with my journal and I open it up and I write.
Nice.
Last year, I filled up the whole thing.
Woohoo!
First time ever. In fact, I had to start a new journal in December.
See? And that gives you a lot of joy just knowing that you did that.
Gives me Okay.
So, okay, cool. Physical environment, doing something that you love or that feels
Mhm.
good. What are some of the other ways we can activate?
Changing,
Mhm.
changing your emotional state.
Oh, yeah.
If you're in despair and uncertainty, I mean, we're all aware that depression and loneliness and isolation and even suicide has been up from this pandemic. So it's a big deal,
It's,
mental health wise.
yeah.
So if you can find some strategies and tools, and I do a lot with this, it's beyond mindfulness. It's all about regulating your emotions. And you can do it with breath. There's many different things. You can get yourself out, go for a walk in nature, look
Mm,
at the trees, the birds, the sky,
yeah.
get out of your head and see what bubbles up in you. If you feel tension in your body,
Yeah.
pay attention to it. Because I know me, I feel it right here in my solar plexus.
Me
Where do
too.
you feel it, Lindsay?
Totally. Yeah, me too. I'm right there. Whenever I get tense or concerned or
That's right.
anxious, it generally just comes right to my belly. And I'm like, uh-oh. So, yeah.
But that's it. You have awareness. I mean, that's the first thing. Notice where you feel the tension in your body
Mhm.
and and use breath, do movement, whatever you can to, you'll know the moment it relaxes.
Yeah. This really works, by the way, everybody. I mean, like, she's not just telling you stuff. This is it. This is part of what really helps you move from despair to joy along the
Absolutely.
continuum. Yeah.
Another thing is mindset. And also, one of the joy lenses is called the intellectual joy lens.
Mm.
And in that is your mindset, your perspective. How are you growing? How are you learning?
Mhm.
Because learning, if you choose to do it,
Yeah.
doesn't it bring you joy?
Yes. I love to learn if it's something I want to learn about.
Same
I
here.
don't want to learn how to program my DVD player, but that's a whole other story. No, thank you. Yeah.
Don't you know how to build a website?
Nope.
Someone else can do that.
Right. Someone else's joy is in there, and I would love to give it to them. Yeah. Right. That's the way to do it.
Another area is the energetic joy lens.
Oh.
And what's in there is how can you pace your day with scheduling
Hmm.
so that you have time for you, little breaks.
So
Like
important.
it is.
Critical.
It
Mhm.
is. And, really monitor and then figure out how to manage your energy. When I hear people who sit in front of their laptops all day long and they are so fried at the end of the day,
Right.
how could they even have a life?
Mm-mm. And it's really not joyful. I mean, what I want to point to, you're hitting on something there. Joy is not a Pollyanna state of being. And I know we've both been criticized, oh, you always find the good in everything. Finding the good in everything is a choice, that is for sure. But feeling joyful even when there's chaos going around you is literally a practice. And what Carol is pointing to those who are listening to this, is the ways you can practice staying in joy, even when what you see going on around you doesn't necessarily match up. And I would just say, woohoo, because that's an important place to be. And yeah, you might get criticized because you can stay in joy when it looks like you should be running around like a mad person,
That's
right?
right.
Mhm.
That's right. Absolutely.
And
If you can train yourself to wake up in the morning and here you can even just do a technique where, this is a technique that I know Lindsay and I learned from Silva training, that you just count backwards.
Mhm. Yeah.
Before you get into your bed, count backwards from 50 or 100 or 30 or wherever, and just stay in that space
Yeah.
So you're not going into thinking, doing mode. And no, I make it a habit. I do not pick up my phone
Mhm.
for at least an hour and a half to 2 hours every single morning.
That's
That
wonderful.
has been a game changer for me. I mean, I can access joy so much easier now.
That's brilliant. Yeah, it's amazing. And I think what you're leading to, and I know this book is going to be amazing for people to have it in their hands because you've been very practical and very clear, and joy is something you can cultivate for sure. What I love is that sacred self-care, which is the word that I use to say, hey, if I don't put the oxygen mask on myself first, I have no business putting it on somebody else because I'm really not helping them all that much if I'm not taking care of this one. And what I know I need is my own routine of what works for me. And every single one of us, if we can bake that in, joy pops right out. And I love where you're going with that.
The other thing, and you're hitting on something, you can't connect with other people fully from a joyful place
Mhm.
until you take care and cultivate that inside of you and the people you're hanging out with. And I'm not just talking about personal romantic,
Right,
I'm talking about just friendships and business.
right.
You don't want people sucking your energy and draining you. First of all, that's not going to serve you to grow, to become the
Mm,
best version of you that you can be. You need to be surrounded by people that are also evolving and growing.
yeah, for sure. A plus
That's
on that one. Yeah, it's critical. You know that energy, like you were describing. When I feel joyful, it either attracts or repels, depending on whether or not someone else is feeling joy. And I notice that when I'm in my joyful, happy-go-lucky, going with the flow kind of zone, I attract those people, and it's way more fun to be in conversations just like this one. It's just way better. Life is good. So Carol, so tell everybody what you're up to now. So you've got the book, you've been speaking. What is it that you'd like to do more of? How can we help you?
I love helping people rewrite their stories
Mm,
into soul food.
nice.
You know what I'm talking about? That place inside of you that you can just relax. You don't have to think about how am I fitting in or conforming to anything. You can just find that essence of you.
Mm,
And I love helping people get out of their own way. I
nice.
mean, if you're stuck in areas of your life, I love being the cheerleader with practical things to really look at those stories and how can you move them into intentions and
Cool.
know where to go.
Nice. And do you work with all kinds of people? Do you work with entrepreneurs? Like who are you wanting to come find you?
You know, I work with entrepreneurs a lot just because I hang out with entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
but I also know that there are a lot of parents working from home right now.
Oh, nice.
They
Yeah.
need something. There's a lot of people isolated who are not hanging out, they're not finding their people.
Mhm.
I love that, and if you, because I believe everyone is a leader. You just have to find it in yourself. And that leader quality is an essence that helps you grow and evolve
Yeah. True.
and light up your joy.
Nice. Well, how can people reach you? Tell us how we can get a hold of you so they can find you and get on your joy train.
Thank you. Thank you. I would love that. I love having conversations because connecting with people is what lights me up.
Mhm.
So reach out to me on LinkedIn, send me a connect message. Reach out to me on Instagram, a direct message. I'm on Clubhouse. You can, find me there if you're on Clubhouse. And, I have a little free thing, 10 tips for joyful living. So reach out and say, I want it, and where you heard it. And I'm happy to send it to you.
Nice. That sounds so good. So it sounds like the best way, everybody, to get a hold of Carol Benson is to find her on Instagram, direct message her, tell her you're interested in finding more joy or expressing more joy, and she'll get right back to you. So thank you so much for joining us today and for being a passion professor in this world. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And so for the audience, it's all for now. I hope that you have enjoyed our conversation with Carol as much as I have. And I'd love to encourage you to hit the like button and also subscribe. If you haven't already become a member of Earth.University, we would love to have you as a part of our alumni. We are learning every day, and we love hearing from our passion professors. Also, if you're interested in being a passion professor, shoot me an email at lindsay@Earth.University. I would love to talk to you more about your passion and how we can share it with others. So that's all for now. Until the next episode.